and this is sign language.
That's just bold. I mean, she was bold. I mean, she threw some funk up in there, y'all. You know, she did the other stuff she was supposed to do, and you know, the community out there that needs the sign language and so forth was like, what is she talking about? I can't even. It's hard to follow, but
There was a deaf person in
in
the
the room,
audience.
yeah. And they were like, they couldn't arrest her or do anything because what she did wasn't anything criminal. It was just ethically
Ethics.
wrong.
Right.
You know, so I'm like, yo, what is happening to the world today? I mean, for real.
She went on 15 minutes of fame.
I mean, this lady has been in prison for fraud,
Yeah.
for doing all kind of stuff. But you get on TV and they trying to do something good for some people, and you over here playing. I think that's just crazy. But that just tells you she was straight gangster with it.
Yes.
She was like, I ain't scared of you and nobody else. I'm gonna do what I want to do.
I think she was throwing up some gangster signs.
What? I don't know. She was doing some stuff. It was crazy. And then what about this lady sending the letter to the newscaster? Was it Sharon
Oh,
Reed?
Sharon Reed. Yeah, CBS 46 yesterday.
Wow.
And Sharon's response was actually a great clapback. This lady called her N-word and posted it in Twitter.
Right. I was like, yo, we're gonna have to do a show one day on these race issues and comments that are coming out of that just totally out of control.
Yeah.
You know, everyone always wanna blame other races for stuff that's going on, but we're gonna try to get a hold of this thing, and we're gonna have a conversation about that. We're gonna put this show together, and then I'll let y'all know when we bring it out to the forefront. But there's something that we definitely need to talk about is race.
Cultural competency.
Yes, I know. People need to understand, you know. I know so many times I hear this craziness like, you're not like the rest of them. I need people to explain that to me because I don't know what the rest of them is.
Well, you know, nowadays, this administration now is giving people a backbone.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Those people who don't understand other cultures,
Yeah.
now they got a backbone. They have a speaking platform.
Right.
And because they have this platform now, they feel bold.
Yeah, because, you know, I saw something on one of the social network sites. I can't remember what it was, where it had a picture of, I think it was 4 or 5 Caucasian ladies that had shirts on that says, Make America White Again.
Oh, yeah, the college students?
Yeah, they were college
Yeah,
students?
yes.
I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Where do you see that is okay? Because if we really wanted to get technical about it, America wasn't ever white.
Well, I think they got suspended, too, from that college as well.
Yeah.
But once again, they have a backbone now, right?
You know, they're just coming out being courageous off of some nonsense. And, you know, and stuff is just getting out of control. We got to do better, people. We got to do better. We got to stop with all this nonsense, this negativity we keep spreading. It's just like we're going spiraling down so quickly,
Right.
you know? And, and it's not, I don't understand why people think that kind of stuff is funny.
But believe this, though. This is not new for them.
Right.
It was just hidden. Now it's coming out.
You're listening to Destiny Talk Live. This is your host, Cherry G. We will be back, and we'll have something for a man's worth, superwomen, family ties, and knowledge is power. Make sure that you tune back in.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Sensation Station Network.
They say everyone should have one. I'm thinking about getting me an appointment.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. You know, I help people solve difficult problems every day, but one problem has me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. Luckily, the Feeding America network of local food banks collects surplus food, giving hope to hungry children and their families. But they need your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
People are always looking to invest in a good opportunity. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change called Better Futures. With your investment, It helps students like me go to college. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Y'all need anything else?
Sensation Station Network.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G, coming to you every Thursday at 1 p.m. on the Sensation Station Network, Radio Not Damn Down. Today we have an awesome show. We're going to be talking about relationships, unhealthy and healthy relationships. And I got my co-host, my guest co-host in the house today, John Reed. He's going to help me facilitate this conversation. If you're listening to us on Facebook, go ahead and put your comments in the comment section, and we'll be sure to answer them and get to them. If you're listening to us on TuneIn Radio, you can text or call your comments in to 678-613-5857. You know, last week we were talking about relationships as far as marriage was concerned,
Right.
and, you know, the infidelity piece. Now we want to talk about knowing if you're in a healthy or an unhealthy relationship. And right now we're going to talk to our men, this is our Men's Worth segment. And I was doing some research,
Okay.
John, and I'm glad you're here with this because, you know, I look at a lot of things that you post, and some men would say the stuff that you post is kind of sensitive and shouldn't be out there, but it's real.
Right.
You know, because you're really just educating the brothers and people, men, period,
Right.
to pick up tips on stuff on how to treat their woman
Right.
or their mate.
Correct.
You know, and in researching, I found out that a lot of things that go south for a man are insecurities. You know, and my question was when I started doing the research is where do the insecurities come from?
It could come from past relationships. And so let me just back up real quick. And so you made a point about a lot of the stuff that I post sometimes about relationships are actually directed to the men. And it's only because I've learned throughout my some 50-some years about what not to do, right? And so, you know, I have two sons, two grown sons. So a lot of the things I say to them is to say, hey, listen, take a step back, get rid of that pride and that insecurity, you know, and look at things a little bit differently. But a lot of times men have insecurities based on a couple things. One, past relationships, and they go into the new relationship with these insecurities,
Right.
right? And then, you know, number two, rejection.
Okay.
So then they become insecure about themselves sometime, right? They don't have the wherewithal to say, hey, listen, I am who I am, and I'm a great guy, right? Let me bring this to the table. And it's not always going to be the right person that accepts that.
Right.
Then if it's not, that's okay.
Well, let me ask you this, too, because in the research that I was looking at, it also said that, and I firmly believe this, that those are the two things that you said was insecurity, past relationships, or they just don't feel confident in themselves.
Right.
But a lot of it was from what they witnessed or were a part of as a child. You know, they either saw their dad or
Yeah.
somebody that was in their life, you know, do destructive behavior, and
Right.
the woman accepted it, so they felt like, okay, if he was doing it and she stayed, or my mom stayed, or whoever stayed, then
Right.
it's okay for me to do it.
And you know what? Last week was a great show because it talked about how sometimes the way that we grow up and our influence, what we see, we actually carry that on into our adulthood. And so for men, it's the same thing too, right? If we see our dads or significant stepfathers or whoever it is, the male figures in our family doing things which are disruptive or just not right, then sometimes subconsciously we carry that into our relationships. Now, and let me give you a perfect example. Like my mother and father were married to my father, and my mom passed away. And so, but it was always positive images. So then for me, I grew up like loving relationships.
Right.
Right, but the older I got, people was like, "Well, no, I'm a relationship person," but that's because of how I grew up.
Right.
Now, if I didn't grow up in a household where both parents were together and it was actually healthy, then I might have a different perspective about either being a traditional bachelor or a relationship person.
And you know, I like what you said there. If it was healthy, because there are a lot of times that kids or children
Yeah.
grow up in a two-parent home, and it's not healthy.
Exactly.
You know, you've got a lot of disruptive behavior going on, whether it's the mother or the father. You know, there's
Right.
kind of like turmoil. And I can speak from personal experience. You know, it's hard to say, you'll say, okay, I'm not going to repeat that behavior
Right.
that I saw growing up.
Right.
And subconsciously, you believe that you're not, but when you go into
You're
a
still doing it.
relationship,
Yeah.
you may not be doing the cheating, or you may not be doing the arguing, but it comes back out
Yeah.
in an insecure
Yeah.
or jealous way. And so a lot of the stuff that I was looking at for the men, it was just like, wow, how do you talk to them about it? How do you get someone to step out of their comfort zone and look at themselves to want to change, especially men, because men are, you guys don't talk.
Oh no, and it's taboo sometimes. We don't want to seem weak. We don't want to seem sensitive. So then, who do we talk to? Let me give you an example. I like giving examples because
It's okay.
I'm old now. So I talked to a group of college seniors, right? So I used to recruit for financial positions for college males. And then one time they said, "Well, listen, John, we want you to go and you talk to specifically these frat brothers. Just talk about life and relationships, because now they're getting out of college, they're about to go into these degrees, but it's more than just business and career. It's about family, relationships, caring yourself." So a lot of the guys had preconceived notions because that's what their friends and family were, about how to treat women. And so so one of the things is panel discussions is pretty good, Relationship shows are pretty good. Shows like yours, where people can actually listen, learn, take some notes, and then decide how to apply it correctly,
And my biggest thing is just getting men to understand that if you have some type of compassion, it by all means is not a sign of weakness.
No,
Okay. And if you, because women, real women like that. We like to know that a man can be soft and compassionate. At times that it's needed.
Right. But then what happens is, I think what makes some men jaded is that if they are soft or sensitive and put that guard down a little bit, then the female might react negatively.
Well, then that's why we're here talking about the relationship aspect of things, because you have to really look at what you're getting yourself into. We had this conversation a few shows back that said, hey, do you think a person should know about your past before you get involved? Absolutely, I do. Because you want to know, what type of family are you coming from? What am I getting myself into? Because, it's not to prejudge or say, oh, I don't want to be with them because they're a mess, but you're giving them an opportunity to know, hey, is this something I can deal with? Is it something I can handle? I think honesty and upfront. I mean, you ain't got to go into deep, dark, dirty secrets. Wait till first meet somebody, because you don't want to scare them and have them run away, but you want to let them know, hey, look, these are some things that I struggle with.
Right. These are my challenges.
These are my challenges. Give me the opportunity to choose that, know.
Exactly.
And then the other thing that gets me, and you and I talk a lot about it. I get these messages sometimes in my inbox, and I just want to put it out there, fellas, this is not acceptable to all women. I mean, I appreciate the fact that you find me attractive, or you think that I'm a great person or whatever because you viewed my pictures or whatever, but don't hit me up in my inbox telling me, I'm feeling you, I think I want to meet with you and stuff like that. How you feeling me from a picture?
Right.
Because
they're throwing a shot.
But the thing is, that picture, you can't judge a book by what you see.
Right.
You got to learn and talk to that person. Or I've had one that sent me in because he was sending stuff to my box that I thought was inappropriate. And as we get into that, we'll talk a little bit more about what men should not do. Right. You guys are listening to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G, and I want to make sure that you guys come back because we still have some more conversation for our men on what's good and what's not.
When it comes to saving money, don't act like a baby.
Goo goo gaga.
Be the boss and make a budget.
I'm the boss, baby.
You're the boss of me.
I am the boss of you.
Are not.
M2.
Are not.
M2.
Need a little help?
Aren't you going to do any work?
I'm very busy delegating.
Create a personalized savings plan.
We can share.
You obviously didn't go to business school.
And get other tools and tips at feedthepig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Marie Callender's knows that you may not have time to roll out dough for a perfectly flaky crust that's made from scratch. Or enough time to mix vegetables with all white meat chicken and a homemade gravy. She knows you may not have a moment to crimp the edges of your favorite chicken pot pie. But Marie Callender's does. And when she's done, all you need to do is find time to grab someone special. Sit down and savor. Marie Callender's. It's time to say.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Keep a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve. Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
I am an American soldier. I'm a warrior and a member of a team.
I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values.
I will always place this first. I will never accept defeat.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never quit.
I will never leave a fallen comrade. I am disciplined.
I am disciplined.
Physically and mentally tough.
Trained and proficient in my warrior tasks and drills.
I always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself.
I am an expert and I am a professional.
I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the
enemies of the United States of America in close combat.
I am a guardian of freedom and the American way of life.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
There's strong, and there's Army strong. See what it takes at GoArmy.com.
When it comes to saving money, don't act like a baby.
Goo goo gaga.
Be the boss and make a budget.
I'm the boss, baby.
You're not the boss of me.
I am the boss of you.
I'm not.
M2.
Are not.
M2.
Need a little help?
Aren't you gonna do any work?
I'm very busy delegating.
Create a personalized savings plan.
We can share.
You obviously didn't go to business school.
And get other tools and tips at feedthepig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G. We are talking about relationships, healthy and unhealthy relationships. Right now, we're talking to our men on what to do and what the do's and don'ts are of social media and reaching out to women that you're interested in or women that you're involved in or just in a relationship, period. If you want to make comments and you're listening to us on Facebook, go ahead and type your comment in the comment section and we'll be able to read it out and answer any of your questions or, share your comments. And if you're listening to us on TuneIn and you want to call in or text a comment, you can do it at 678-613-5857. Just before the break, I was telling you about the different things that I get in my inbox. And, like I said...
We're not talking about the pictures, right?
No, not the pictures. It's just comments. And I just want to tell the fellas this. It's okay that you find me attractive. I appreciate it. But what I don't appreciate is... The first thing, you're right, the approach. You come at me like, hey, I'm feeling you. I think we need to date. I've even had them ask me to be side chicks. And some people you're just totally inappropriate. I don't even respond.
Right.
Okay, then I'll get a message like, I get called out my name first. And then they tell me I was trying to validate you. So, first of all, I don't need anybody to validate me. I just want everybody to understand that every day I wake up, I'm validated.
Right.
I feel that God has already validated me. But it's a turnoff, fellas. Not every woman is excited about the stuff that you say. And some of the lines they come out with, like the side chicken and, once you be with me. Look, I don't need all that.
Your blog button becomes really active, right?
Really active. But my thing is, John, that I want to ask you about. I understand that everybody has this social media courage, internet courage, because
keyboard courage.
It's keyboard, Right. Why do men just feel like, okay, it worked for Sue over here, I'm going to try it from here? Why do they do that?
Because you said the key thing. It worked with somebody else. So if they see the interest and it worked before, they're going to try it. So remember, look, guys are, we're hunters, right? We're naturally hunters. So once you understand that guys are hunters, we're going to hunt, right? And then, if we catch something, we may throw it back, but the key is to hunt and then go, try it and see. And because it's worked before, now guys have gotten bold. They got the keyboard courage, and then now they can call you out your name, and you ain't going to do nothing. You block them, they go on to the next one.
Right.
There's no repercussion.
But that's so unhealthy. And then for me, the other thing is if you're talking, they're talking to you and, hey, they give you the ruse that they want to join because you're in a certain group. We got the same team, or like the latest, I had someone reach out, hey, I want to advertise on your show. We sent them all the information, and the ruse was I really just wanted to get a date.
Right.
My business page is not for you to sign up for an appointment or to come at me for a date.
I ain't
Because you're
gonna lie
not
though.
going to get it.
I'm not gonna lie though. I've done that before.
Why would you do that?
Okay, so what had happened was.
Okay, let's hear what happened.
I was really interested in this person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So of course, you do your research, you look and see what their posts are, but you still have an interest. And and now social media is. I didn't meet her outside of social media. I can't ask her for a number, so I want to use a different approach, right? So then the approach, so it's not callous or over the top. It might be, hey, listen, I'm really interested in your particular business. I have interest in X, Y, Z, and ABC. Can we have a discussion about it? It gets them engaged.
Right.
And see, when you get someone engaged, then you can determine whether you need to keep the conversation going or not. Right.
Well, okay.
And then if you keep it just like that, right, engaged in the conversation, then after you've established some sort of rapport, then you say, well, listen, I really have an interest in you.
Okay, well, that's different then.
But I'm in the inbox though.
But
sometimes.
just come straight out. Hey, I want to know. I'm asking for an appointment, and I ask you, okay, what is it that you want to talk about so I can prepare for the appointment?
Right.
And you talking about if you married, single, are you looking for somebody I'd like to date you because I'm feeling you. You ain't feeling me. You feeling my picture.
Right. No, that's right. Exactly. Right. That's a different one. Yeah.
No, I can see if you did that approach.
Right.
But then you were a gentleman about it. And then I'm going to say to the fellas out there, if you want to meet somebody you see online, be real about it. Just don't come crazy. You can say, hey, I saw your picture. I think you're pretty, or whatever it is you want to say, but I would like an opportunity to get to know you. Is that possible?
Yep.
Is that possible? And let the woman say yes or no. And then, fellas, if she say no,
just keep it moving.
Keep it moving. I mean, you ain't got to go in and give her a whole dissertation about how she ain't nothing.
Or call her out of name.
Or call her. It's not that. But what I want to say to the fellas is, first of all, if you have, like you said earlier, let's go back to that conversation when you said that a lot of guys, because they're jealous or insecure, is because of past relationships. And then you get out of one, and then 2 seconds later, you're back in another one. That's unhealthy, period, because you have not taken yourself through that nonsense that you have just finished going through.
And you and I have had this conversation, so being just forthright and up front, I was married for 20 years, and so I'm used to relationships. So immediately, I got back into another one, but I'm still bringing baggage. All right, but when I'm in the second one, though, you can't tell me though that that I was bringing baggage, but it was actually there. And so what happened was I hadn't fully healed,
right?
And now I'm looking at this new one who's done nothing wrong, like the ex. And so it was just wrong because it was just too soon.
Yeah, because you were comparing.
Exactly.
I mean, when you're doing stuff like that, guys, you got to give yourself time to regroup. I mean, I did it. We all did it. We all have those things where I just got to be into a relationship, but we don't think about the repercussions of it when we're dealing with it. We just think I got to be right in one, and then we don't take our time with it. You guys, we're talking to men right now about relationships. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live, and I'm your host, Cherry G.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've accidentally cut your daughter's bangs unevenly. Do you A, line things up a centimeter from her hairline?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
No. Sweatbands are so hot right now. Everyone's wearing them. Like that basketball player and that other basketball player.
B, get spiritual.
Mom, where did all the mirrors go?
A reflection could never capture our true selves.
Huh?
Beauty is within.
C, look on the bright side.
Less time blow drying, more time texting.
Or D, show empathy.
Mom, you really don't have
Ta-da! Twinsies!
I kind of love it. As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
From the University of Alabama, the Dallas Cowboys, Super Bowl, then prison. The remarkable story of Sherman Williams that you must read to believe. Crimson Cowboy, Peace Between the Lines, is the incredible journey of an NFL star continued road to redemption. You must get this book now at crimsoncowboy.com. crimsoncowboy.com.
I am an American soldier. I'm a warrior and a member of a team.
I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values.
I will always place this first.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never quit.
I will never leave a fallen comrade.
I am disciplined.
I am disciplined. Physically and mentally tough. Trained and proficient in my warrior tasks and drills.
I always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself.
I am an expert and I am a professional.
I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the
Enemies of the United States of America in close combat.
I am a guardian of freedom and the American way of life.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
There's strong, and there's Army Strong. See what it takes at GoArmy.com.
Indoor baseball, anyone?
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G. You are listening to us talk about relationships, healthy and unhealthy relationships. Earlier, we were addressing the men on some do's and don'ts to do in social media and things that you might want to think about before jumping into a relationship. Now I want to address my ladies out there. If you're listening to us on Facebook, go ahead and type your comments in the comment section and we'll get with you and put them out on the air. If you're listening to us on TuneIn, go ahead and text or type or call your comments in to 678-613-5857. Now, John, we were talking about the different things that I didn't like when men hit my inbox with nonsense. I know you guys get some stuff too, and I want to address my ladies about relationships. You know, a lot of us, when we come in, we love hard and we love deep. You know, we stay rock solid. But then just like men, when we get jaded or hurt, we leave a relationship and carry all that nonsense with us to the next relationship.
Right.
And then I was saying to the men how I didn't like when people reached out on my pictures and give me this whole dissertation about how they think we need to be together. Now, I was talking to you about this beard gang. You know, and there's some brothers in there that are really nice. They're posting it up, nice looking men in there. But I read some of the comments these women
They shooting their shot
put
too.
what? Them things are thirsty. I mean, it was like, yo, it's just a picture. You don't know that dude. I mean, you already come. I saw one was like, yeah, I could be your everything. You might not want to be his everything, you know.
listen.
So tell me something. What is a big turn off for you when women do that type of behavior?
Well,
What's a turn on and a turn off? Let's talk about
all right,
that.
So if I see, for instance, a comment like that, already my mind is going someplace different. Like, you know, this ain't a relationship, but it's going to be something else.
Okay.
Right? So
All right.
that's the first thing if I see those sort of comments. But then, you know, like women are in our inbox as well. And, you know, and sometimes, you know, they just straight up here send a picture. So our society is different now. Before it used to be just dudes that's doing this, but women now have grown some kahunas, and they're doing the same thing. You know, and then when we go back to your second question about what is one of the turnoffs, for me personally, the criteria is just so strict, meaning that they have a list of 10 things that the next dude must have.
Right.
And that 10 things may have come from prior relationships, the things that they liked and didn't like. But here are the 10 things that this dude must have, right? And then, you know, I believe, like I say often, the 80-20 rule. If somebody's bringing you 80% of that,
right.
Hey, you might want to take a look at it. But because it's criteria so strict, that's when they say, oh, I don't need a man. He doesn't meet all my criteria. I don't like that.
Well, you know, I'm not a criteria person, and I don't agree with a lot of women that do that. I don't agree with, you know, the man has to have a certain type of car. He has to have a certain type of job. He got to have this type of money. And then, first of all, there are a lot of us women out there putting these stipulations on people, and you don't have it.
One of the ones that always say, I need a God-fearing man or Christ-like.
Yeah, okay.
They don't. They might not even be God-fearing or Christ-like.
Exactly.
But they want to make sure that you are.
You are.
You know?
And then, and you know, a lot of women, I'll probably get some hate off of this one. I don't get it. You know, men do this too, but I'm talking to my ladies right now.
Right.
I want to address my ladies. Listen, if y'all are with a young man or man, whoever your mate is, woman, I don't care who it is, and you are constantly checking their cell phones, they got to be in your space. First of all, you shouldn't be looking through nobody's cell phone in the first place. You don't pay the bills, you shouldn't be looking at it. Even if you are paying the bills, don't look through anybody's cell phone, because what you going to get mad for if you find some nonsense? You were looking for it. Why you mad?
Right. Exactly. You might find what you're looking for.
Right, so don't look. You know, if you got to go through those extremes and you're always, every time they go out, you're accusing them of doing something, I want to bring it back home to you. You have some stuff in your life that you need to fix. You got some serious insecurities that you shouldn't be putting those problems off on somebody else. Because if you immediately get with somebody and then bam, out the gate, you are on them like white on rice. They can't breathe. Who you texting? What you doing? What time you coming home? Checking stuff. You know, I hear women think that's a joy and it's great. No, it's not.
Recipe
No,
for
it's
disaster.
not. It's unhealthy, and it's unhealthy for you.
Right.
It's unhealthy for you. My thing is, why are you in the relationship in the first place if you're going through all those dramatics?
Right. Right. And then, you know, like I said before, it could be based on their prior relationships.
Right.
That lack of trust because this dude is cheating on them. So right now, automatically, they think, okay, well, he's going to do the same thing. He's
And you can't do that. You can't bring what happened in a past relationship into a new one. And I can speak from that from experience because I did that. Boy, I was, you know, something on 2 feet. I mean, I had developed the attitude of, I'm going to get you before you get me.
Right.
You know, you hurt me, I'm going to hurt you, but that person did nothing to me.
Right.
And I can't tell you how many men I probably, well, it wasn't that many, but I'm just saying guys that even came through my path, you know, after I got divorced and so forth, or, you know, relationships broke up that I was just straight up mean to.
Right. Right. I can attest to your meanness.
Yeah, well, whatever. You know, because I said before in a few shows, there's one, we're still really good friends, but he was such a dream. His sweetheart is somebody that, I always say the one that got away, but he didn't get away because I helped push him away.
Right.
You know, because I told him, man, I am straight up crazy. You don't even need to be dealing with me right now. And he was like, really, who does that?
No, and we learn from our mistakes, right? And,
Right.
and we make mistakes. We're not experts. We just
Right.
make mistakes and we learn what not to do. There's one also, speaking about women, who did everything, and that's like 10 years ago, I had no problems with, but because I felt like I wasn't growing, I pushed the relationship away.
But it's good for them. And one of our listeners, Allison, thank you so much, Dillard, for tuning in. She said, that's exhausting. I can't do it. I agree with you. I can't do it. And she said, heal from the past relationship before entering into another one. Right. Take all the time you need. It's better for the both of you in a new relationship. That is absolutely correct.
Yeah.
It's absolutely correct. You know, you want to do that. You know, we have to make sure, guys, that we take care of ourselves before we destroy anything else. Don't go anywhere because, you guys, we are going to still talk to our women about relationships, what's healthy and what's unhealthy. You guys are listening to Destiny Talk Live.
We're more connected than ever before. 90% of America's students use some form of social media, but not all of it's used in a good way. Hurtful posts online are leading to social isolation for many. Psychologists say it's bullying in a brand new way. Well, Beyond Differences and I Keep Safe are looking to change that with ideas for students, their parents, and even teachers. Take the pledge to be kind online and learn more at wearekindonline.com.
Great leaders aren't born. They're made, and not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
From the University of Alabama, the Dallas Cowboys, Super Bowl, then prison. The remarkable story of Sherman Williams that you must read to believe. Crimson Cowboy, Peace Between the Lines, is the incredible journey of an NFL star continue road to redemption. You must get this book now at crimsoncowboy.com. crimsoncowboy.com. Meet former Dallas Cowboy Sherman Williams as he makes his way through Atlanta to Arlington, Texas for the release of Crimson Cowboy, Peace Between the Lines. Don't miss your time to gain valuable insight on how to avoid the pitfalls of success. For appearance information, please go to info@palmerwilliamsgroup.org.
Station Network. Radio, not dumbed down.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. We are talking about relationships, healthy and unhealthy relationships. We were addressing our women just before the break on some things that they need to do. Now, if you're listening to us on Facebook, go ahead and type your comments in the comment section, and we'll get back with you. We'll read them out on the air, and we'll try to address them. If you're listening to tune in and you want to text or call in your comment, go ahead and do so at 678-613-5857. One of our listeners, Sharon Gilbert, she says, I don't have a list. Tired of drama. I don't want to have my guard up and in relationships. I want to love like I've never been in love before, and that's the way it should be. If you go in with baggage and hurts from previous relationships, preconceptions, etc., then you're setting yourself up for failure. Those words are so profound.
I agree.
I mean, because, and it's not just for women, it's for men too, but Sharon, you hit that on the nail, because so many of us women, because, like I said, we love hard. We throw our 100% in, and then we will hang in there for some nonsense. I want to tell y'all to stop doing that too.
Yeah.
Stop doing that. Because it's not necessary to hang on to that. And I wanted to, John had given some stuff that he had talked about, that women, for unhealthy relationships, and it's really for men and women. And we talk about, what was it, insensitivity. A lot of women, the biggest thing for us is that our men are insensitive, or our mates are insensitive. Well, let's think about it. Is it really just them insensitive?
The men?
Or could it be just both being insensitive? Because, look, if you're coming into a relationship and you haven't healed from a bad one or a broken one before,
right?
Could you both be insensitive? Because I know I was jaded. So I wasn't going to give that guy that did nothing to me my 100%. You were getting 5.
Right.
You're going to have to work at this.
And you know what? We use this word respect a lot, mutual respect, but sometimes you don't really respect that other person in that relationship. I mean, that's an unhealthy relationship. And if you don't respect that person, then it doesn't matter what they say, what their beliefs are, how they're treating you. In your mind, you just don't respect them.
Right.
And that relationship is never going to work like that.
But my thing is, why are you not respecting somebody that you just started a relationship with? They have done nothing to you.
Right. And like we said before, it could be a lot of influences.
Right.
It could be peer pressure. It could be, like we said before, what they've seen before in their past. Like the relationship they're trying to get into that's not working. I mean, it could be a variety of things that influences this individual and why he doesn't have mutual respect for you. And then it's not going to work.
Right.
Like if I respect you, you could have a different belief than me, but you respect the fact that I love this person. They have a different belief, but I respect that.
And that's where I was reading something where it says compromising and sharing. Communication, guys, if you haven't understood and know it, communication is the key to any great relationship, healthy or even unhealthy, because then you can communicate, hey, this is what's wrong, this is what I need. But both parties have to be involved and engaged and want to do it. And let's go back to this thing with the Beard Gang and different things of the men posting pictures and women making the comments and, oh, I got to have you or whatever. First of all, ladies, stop doing that, because you don't know who you're reaching out to. You don't know what that guy's personality is. It's okay. I always say to shop, but you don't have to be trying to buy everything. Right. Okay, you can look, comment, make sure it's clean or whatever. Don't throw yourself out there as thirsty, weak, or easy.
Right.
Because there are, like you said, there are words that you could put out there, and the guy was like, okay, I know if I just want to call up and dial something, I'm going to dial it, and then it's there. And then you mad when they get with it and then leave and don't call you no more. Well, you put it out there that this is how I want. We may not be thinking that, but that's what we're doing. And then if we're hopping around trying to be in relationships with guys and you tell them, hey, they show interest to you, and you say, okay, I like you, I'm going to do this, but if we have sex, we in a relationship. It don't work like that.
Listen, and you put out what you want, right?
Right.
So if you putting that out there, then to me, I'm like, okay, that's what she wants.
Well,
all
yeah,
right,
but
let me switch my approach.
You can't throw out the stuff and then be like, okay, he mine now. No, that's not the message or information you gave them. So you got to be careful, ladies, how we're out there displaying and putting stuff out there we think we want the guys to know. Guys, we're still talking about healthy and unhealthy relationships. You are listening to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G.
Okay, so 5 tacos of cheese and a large soda. That's $10,012. Please drive around.
Wait, 10,000 what?
It's obvious Notice you're buzzed and driving.
I've only had a few. I'm fine.
Yeah, the food's $12, but getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Please drive around. Actually, just park and come in.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Great leaders aren't born. They're made, and not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
Our freedom and security are made possible through the service and sacrifice of our military and first responders. The Gary Sinise Foundation provides many outreach programs supporting these brave men and women. Join us. Donate at GarySiniseFoundation.org.
And so a new American industry has been born.
Sensation Station Network.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G, and my guest co-host today, John Reed. We're talking to you about relationships, healthy and unhealthy relationships. We started out talking to our men and our women. Now we want to talk about the family. And if you're listening to us on Facebook, go ahead and type your comments in the comment section, and we'll read them out on air and address them. If you're listening to us on TuneIn and you want to text or call in your comment, 678-613-5857. One of our listeners, Sharon Gilbert, put out there, I'm at an age and stage of maturity, whereas I just want to be respected and appreciated. Loving someone should be easy. Don't go in expecting anything other than to be loved. Don't make your current mate pay for what happened to your past relationship, what happened in your past relationship. New man, new relationship, and you are right. I mean, it's a no-brainer, but unfortunately, a lot of us don't get it. Now, I want to talk to our men and women who are in relationships that have children that are in the home, or have people that are around that watch you. Now, if you're in a home and you're married and you have children and the spouse is cheating, or you guys are constantly arguing and berating each other in front of your children, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
And what type of behavior they're going to?
It's a recipe for disaster. And once again, anecdotal evidence and experience, helps people.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and once again, I've heard people, and I've been in this situation before, where we think the children are not seeing or feeling dysfunction in the family. They can feel it. Even if, for instance, you go away and you have these arguments or discussions, and then you come back out to pretend like everything is okay, children see that. They feed off of that as well. And then they carry that going forward.
Exactly.
And so I see families that, they have mutual respect, and then, but I've seen other ones where, they're cussing and screaming and hollering in front of the kids. And I don't understand that. And then what do they call the families like if it's stepchildren?
You talking about mixed? Mixed families,
right,
yeah.
Exactly. And then sometimes, when that dynamic comes in, it's a different form of dysfunction.
Right. But you know what? It's so. I could talk coming from a home where there was dysfunction in the family. I always tell people, and I joke about it, in my home, we were the cleavers outside to the world, but when you got behind those doors, it was the WWF going on up in there.
Right.
There was a lot of just, and just disruptive behavior. There was cheating, there was fighting, there was constant bickering. And I remember me and my brothers and sisters like, why are you here in this mess? But a lot of us get in there and we think that we're stuck and we have to stay. But I can tell you from the six of us there's nine of us, but the six of us that grew up together, we all have a wide range of problems from what we saw and witnessed. And I can speak for me. I can't speak for my siblings, but I can speak for me. I didn't come into relationships trusting. I didn't trust you right off the gate because I was looking at what I saw growing up.
Right.
If you came home at a certain time late or you missed calling me, I was looking at you sideways.
Right.
And I didn't always jump and live with anybody. I didn't do that. And I didn't bring, when I got divorced, I didn't bring men to my home because my kids weren't meeting nobody. You didn't have no business meeting my children.
Right.
Because you weren't going to be there. I mean, that was what my mindset was. But we unfortunately take and think that we're not going to have those disruptive behaviors, but we do. We do.
And you mentioned something before, and I believe this over time. Every family has some sort of dysfunction in the family.
Yeah.
But it's how you handle the dysfunction, right? To try to change the behavior.
You got to step out of it.
Right.
And like Allison Dillard said, unfortunately, that was the typical Mayland family back in the day. And you're right. It was. I mean, you saw it. You thought that was the way it was supposed to be. And Sharon said, absolutely need to communicate. I need to know what your needs are, what bothers you, and what you need from me. And she said, I think some people are just afraid to be transparent with one another. Men may look at it as a sign of weakness, but it is not. Focus on being friends first, and then everything else will fall into place. And you're right. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live. Don't go anywhere because we're going to come back and talk about how dysfunctional and unhealthy relationships can affect the family, as well as how healthy relationships can affect them.
Gotta represent. Station Network. Yes, that's awesome.
Too much sauce. You use Tearless Baby Shampoo because it's gentle on your baby's eyes. You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You always test the bath water to make sure it's not too hot. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You make sure she wears a helmet when she rides her bicycle. You put on his sunscreen, even when he's embarrassed his friends will see. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Is your child facing the right way in the car seat? Is the seat too big or too small? How do you know when it's time to move your child into the next type of seat? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
Finding best potatoes for French fries.
No!
Russet, fingerling, Yukon Gold.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. This is the part of the show where we put out prayer requests. We have people that call in or send messages that they want to ask for prayer. We want to pray for all of the people out in Southern California that's facing these wildfires that's going crazy out there. Sonia Booker, she just had brain surgery. We're praying for you too. De Leon de la Fosa's brother's father, Jackie Turner, passed away, so we want to pray for their family. Oscar Rodriguez, he was a big Cowboy fan. He passed away. You guys, please pray for their family. Tico Pearson out of Mount Holly, New Jersey. Lana Robbins of Cathedral, Illinois. Brother passed away. A member of the Star Status Cowboy group, MJ, he lost his 27-year-old daughter. And then safe travels to my I guess my son from another mother. He's on his way back from Texas. He's serving in the military. You guys pray for these folks, and we want to let you guys know that we are out here. We're praying for you. You're in our prayers, and we ask that God gives you peace in your time of need right now. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live.
And so a new American industry
Station Network.
Our freedom and security are made possible through the service and sacrifice of our military and first responders. The Gary Sinise Foundation provides many outreach programs supporting these brave men and women. Join us. Donate at GarySiniseFoundation.org.
Meet former Dallas Cowboy Sherman Williams as he makes his way through Atlanta to Arlington, Texas for the release of Crimson Cowboy, Peace Between the Lines. Don't miss your time to gain valuable insight on how to avoid the pitfalls of success. For appearance information, please go to info@palmerwilliamsgroup.org. From the University of Alabama, the Dallas Cowboys, Super Bowl, then prison. The remarkable story of Sherman Williams that you must read to believe. Crimson Cowboy, Peace Between the Lines is the incredible journey of an NFL star continued road to redemption. You must get this book now at crimsoncowboy.com. crimsoncowboy.com.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G. We are talking about the effects of unhealthy and healthy relationships as it relates to families. Before I get into that, I forgot to send a shout out to a prayer request for Sharon Gilbert and her mom who is in hospice. You guys please keep them in your thoughts and in your prayers as well.
Can I add one to that?
You sure can.
A friend of mine, she's actually watching from Hawaii, Sylvia Ortega, has some personal physical challenges right now, so I want to send our prayer request out to her.
Okay, and we are praying for you. Let's talk about this thing with families and these negative relationships. Ladies, listen. I see too many times in the news, and fellas, I want you guys to pay attention to this too, because we're talking about family.
Right.
You get in these relationships, they're unhealthy, and you have these kids in the house. They see this disruptive behavior going on, and they either model it. But here's some other part. I'm going to throw a little different twist on it that when I was doing this research and looking, that really just breaks my heart. And this is nothing new, guys. What we're talking about isn't something that's just an epidemic that has been happening, just now. It's been happening for over time. It can go back BC. We get in these relationships and they're unhealthy. We got these kids in the house, and either the kids end up dead or abused.
That's to the extreme, yeah.
Anything can be to the extreme. You can think it's innocent, and you start out innocent, and you think it's cute. I know a lot of ladies think, oh, he jealous because he be checking on me. That's not cute. And fellas, it's not cute. You calling people out their name, you checking on her or whatever. You get in these relationships and you have children. My question to you, because I know I didn't do it when I dated somebody or went out. You didn't meet my kids. You just did not jump off meet my kids, because I didn't know you. Were you like that? I mean, were your kids grown after you got divorced, they were grown?
Well, they were teenagers, late teens.
Okay.
So they were like 16, 17, and 18 when we got divorced.
Okay.
So 20-some years ago. So I didn't have that issue or problem.
Okay, mine were young.
Yeah, see, mine was already.
Because I'm telling you now, a fool rolled up in there and thought he was going to do something to one of mine. I'd have been the orange is the new black. I'm just keeping it real, you know. But you hear so many times that you see in court that these women, he was, I didn't want to lose him, like our guest last week, that called in, Audrey. And you know what? I applaud Audrey, because she has been through some stuff, and she's taken the nonsense out of the family and exposing it. And how her mother knew her father was molesting and raping her and selling her out. Wait a minute.
But that's because she had self-esteem problems. The mom did.
Right, yeah, but listen.
And it's still not right. I mean, your children need to be protected, right?
But they
at
don't.
all costs, and they don't.
And they don't. And not all, and I don't want to blame, let me correct this. I don't want to blame all parents, because sometimes stuff happens to your kids and you don't know.
Right.
I'm talking to the parents that know.
Right.
Not the ones that didn't know, but I'm talking to the ones that know. And Sharon also put out there, she said, dysfunctional relationships affect the two parties involved and the children. You are so right. It does. And I was watching one where this girl, she was so hung up on the boyfriend being there. I mean, he used to beat her, and the kid, I think the baby was like 3 years old. She cried or something, and he spanked her. First of all, you ain't hitting my kids. Don't put your hands on my babies. Right. And that's another show. Right. We'll talk about that. Yeah. But in this relationship, this girl was so caught up by this guy. He beating on you. What makes you think he's not going to beat on your children? And then you leave him there. He ain't working. You working 2 jobs. He at home.
Yeah. Well, some people are afraid to be alone.
I'm going to be alone.
Right. But I'm saying that some people, unfortunately, it's prevalent, right? And now with the advent of social media and internet, we hear about it more often now. All the deaths, all the domestic violence, abuse, and a lot of times the ladies are in it, or sometimes the men too,
right?
Because they need to be with someone at all costs.
Let me tell y'all something. Ain't no need that much. And I want to say, hey, Ted Bear, Blonzia, thank you for checking in. Al Haskins, thank you guys all for checking in. I really do appreciate you listening in. And Sharon also said the children are focused. The children are forced to take sides, and then the hurt parents use the children as pawns to hurt each other. I wish the answer was simple, but all of the energy used in hurting one another could be used to heal the relationship. You are so right. And that's another thing I hate. When we have bad relationships, we use the kids as pawn. Let me tell you something. When my kids didn't even find out why their dad and I split up, and I think until they were in their late teens, getting ready to graduate from high school.
Right.
I mean, because he wasn't important enough for me to be talking about that.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that stuff happened between the two of us, not them. And I was bold enough and courageous enough that I wasn't going to stay there in that mess because I knew what it was like with me growing up.
Right.
I didn't want my kids to see that kind of stuff.
And my ex-wife, the first one anyway, we're not going to talk about the second one. The first one, though, what I did appreciate about her was that after we got divorced, she never introduced another guy into. She was dating, but she was never introduced these, my two sons that were still at home, to another guy, because I'm the father. And so I even told her recently, because we can talk now, that I appreciated that because then it didn't cause any issues, right? And my son still respected her. In fact, one day with my youngest son, who's now 25, he said, "No, Dad, Mom doesn't have any boyfriends." Now that she's engaged now, but all my kids are grown-ups and adults, and so Mom needs to have her own fun and time too now. But I appreciated the fact though that there was no introduction,
right?
Even though she was still doing what she
right.
does.
And then I dated. My kids knew that, but they only people that they met, I was engaged to one,
right?
And that was the only other time, and they met him, and then just one other fella,
right?
But they didn't meet those people. They weren't Uncle Ray and Bob coming up staying in my house. I hate when people do that. Oh, this your Uncle Ray. Why is Uncle Ray in your room?
And see, here's the issue: when women introduce a person into their family situation early. But then that doesn't work, and then they introduce somebody else. It sets a bad precedent for the kids. There's a bad taste in their mouth. When Mom she was Bobo for 3 months. She would no neck for another 4 months. That sets a bad precedent. Now these kids are going to grow up thinking that that's the norm, when it's actually not.
And it's not. And Sharon said, John, you are right. I don't like being alone, but I have sense enough to know that I don't have to settle just for the sake of having a man. And that's how I am, because I get people asking me all the time, you must be, not asking. Well, they'll ask, why are you single? Or they'll make the statement, you must be single because you got problems. There must be something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me. I personally didn't get involved in relationships because after my youngest one left from home, Cherry needed to know who Cherry was because my life was so centered around my kids. I didn't know what I liked.
Right.
I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't, that kind of stuff. So why bring a man into a world, in my world, and expect him to do things for me, and I don't even know what I want him to do or I want.
And for me, I'm a relationship person, so I jumped into relationships too soon.
Yeah.
And you know that for a fact. You've been knowing me for a minute.
Talk. That's another show.
I know, a whole other show. All right, we could do 4 hours on that one. But the reason I think, when I reflect, is that I grew up in a family household. Right. So, and then I was married for 20 years, and there's kids at the house, family. And then when I leave that, I don't know what to do, right?
Right.
I'm looking for that confirmation again about being in a familiar
thing. And that's good because that's what you grew up with. You saw a positive relationship. I didn't see a positive relationship.
Right.
So it didn't bother me, and it doesn't bother me for being alone. Now, would I like to be in a relationship and be able to trust and love and whatever? Right. Absolutely.
Right.
If anyone tells you they don't want to be in a relationship or they don't want that, they're lying to you. Right. And they need to be real with themselves because that's how you grow and that's how you get further. You guys, we're talking about relationships, healthy and unhealthy relationships. Stay tuned. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G.
Now we come to the special feature of our program.
Sensation Station Network. Sensation Station Network.
You cannot let a fear of failure, or a fear of comparison, or a fear of judgment stop you from doing what it is you want.
Let's talk about destiny.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G, and my guest co-host today, John Reed. We're talking to you about relationships, healthy and unhealthy relationships. If you're just joining us, we're talking about a man's worth, superwomen, knowledge, family ties, and knowledge is power. If you're listening to us on Facebook, go ahead and type your comment in the comment section, and we'll read it out on the air and then answer it, address it. If you're listening to us on TuneIn and you want to call or text in a comment, it's 678-613-5857. We are now circling back around to our men, and I want to talk a little bit more about them and some of the things that I found. But before we do that, John, what are some advice or signs that you would give our men out there as they're approaching relationships or as they're in relationships?
Approaching relationships, and all this stuff is pretty common. But and women say this too, but men need to do the same thing. Look for the signs, right?
Okay.
So and we'll talk about it in unhealthy relationships, but if some of the signs are giving you pause, address what those are, but be cognizant that you still may not be able to change this person to what you want them to be.
Right.
So recognize the signs is what I say. And then number two, and we always talk about take your time. Because some women will say, "Hey, no, I got you. You mine."
Yeah.
No, let's take time to date, and then involve yourself with this person to get to know them. It's an interview process.
Right.
Right. I'm interviewing you. You interviewing me.
But people don't like that concept, though. They don't like to think, but it is what you have to do. Unfortunately, now because of the times that we live in.
Everybody can't have a job.
Right.
Right. So on both sides, and so I'm telling men too. Listen, she interviewing you. You have to interview them as well.
Exactly. Like Sharon says, looks can sometimes be deceiving. I remember when I was married, I was still alone because my needs were not being met, and he was doing this thing outside of our home. But I took all of the hurt and loneliness and decided to invest in making me better. So when the next relationship came along, I would be better for the both of us. And Sharon, I did the same thing, so I agree. Now, I'm going to tell you some of the 6 warning signs that I found on, it's called The Blog, and it was written by Pamela Jacobs, and this is with the Huffington Post. And she said, 6 warning signs that you're in an abusive relationship and that the man is
projecting onto the female.
Right.
Okay.
He said he will romance you right up. He'll buy you flowers and gifts. He will likely be the most romantic man you have ever met. He will pay attention to you and make you feel special and wanted. You may find yourself thinking this is too good to be true because he is.
What's wrong with that?
No, that's what she said.
Okay.
Now, I agree to it to a certain extent. Okay, because there are some men who are out there. I mean, I see some, and I be like, Lord, I'm living vicariously through them, watching, how well they treat their ladies and the stuff that they do. But it's not something that I have seen just once or twice. I see this constantly coming from them. So they're genuine.
Right.
Now, this comes to play when it's just like I'm getting you.
I'm reeling you in.
I'm reeling you in because now I'm going to get you where I want you, because once they break that defense down and they get you, they got you. And then they say he'll want to commit quickly. Okay, so I'm taking that as you met me, you ain't even really met me. You see my picture online, you feeling me, you're already all into me, you saying what you think I want you to say. Then if I say, okay, let's go out, we go out on a couple of days, girl, I think we should be together, let's get married. Now I'm looking at you sideways. But some ladies, that just, oh my God, I can't believe he loves me so quickly. Fellas, stop. Stop that.
You should have told me that with my second marriage.
Well, look, I tried. You weren't listening. He'll want you all to himself. That means he'll cut you off from family and friends. He's not going to want you talking to nobody. He's going to be looking like, why you got these male friends? Hey, look, if she had those male friends before you and she's introduced you to them, why you worried about them? Stop that nonsense. He will be very concerned about you. That means he may get upset if you don't call him right back. Or if he calls you and you don't answer right away, that's another sign. So, and then also he will be sweet and caring sometimes. It's like that Sour Patch Kid. You guys don't go anywhere. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live. We're going to come back and talk more about these points that I gave and get John's opinion on them and see how and what he thinks about what this lady Pamela is saying.
Coming to Tampa Bay, I said we want to win a Super Bowl, and I believe we will.
From IamSecond.com.
We came close, but never really did win that championship.
former NFL head coach Tony Dungy.
At the end of my 6th year, I was fired, and it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Next year, I'm in Indianapolis, get to the playoffs, but get knocked out again. And for the next couple of years, it's the same thing. Everyone is saying Colts are never going to win one. And I did wonder, why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? But I determined that I had to have Christ first, and that everything else came below that, including my own desires. The next year, that ended up being our year to go to the Super Bowl and win it, and it was a wonderful feeling. Every decision I make, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ, and He'd guide us to that ultimate victory. I'm Tony Dungy, and I am second.
So, I'm a dog, and I just got adopted by this new human guy, and I'm starting to wonder how he got along without me. I mean, okay, something as simple as walking around the block. He's got this leash thing, and he puts me on one end and him on the other, and I'm just taking him around. I think he's afraid of getting lost. Without that leash and me guiding him along, I don't think he'd find his way back home. But it's kind of cute.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
1 in 7 Americans will struggle with addiction during their lifetime. Want to know how you can help? Go to heretolisten.com for tips and tools to help turn addiction around. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council.
You think you can do this to me? I'm the man up in this piece. Sensation Station Network.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, and father of 5. I'm also an expert on drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids, and there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G, and I've got my guest co-host, John Reed, here helping me facilitate this conversation about relationships, healthy and unhealthy relationships. We're talking to our men right now about some warning signs that women should pay attention to. If you're listening to us on Facebook, go ahead and type your comment in the comment section, and we'll read it out on air and try to address it. If you're listening to us on TuneIn, and you want to call in or text your comment, it's 678-613-5857. Shoni Sharper, I hope I said your name right. She said exactly, he hasn't proven anything. What I was talking about, and I'm going to repeat them for those of you that are just joining in. They said the 6 warning signs that you're probably getting involved with an abusive relationship or a person that is abusive into the relationship. And that is, he will romance you. He will commit quickly. He will want to make you all to himself. He will be very concerned about you, and he will be sweet and caring sometimes. And also he will play the victim. That's the other thing. Yeah, let's talk about those before we get to the victim. Tell me, what do you think about that? And, and this was from Pamela Jacobs, guys. If you guys are wanting to know where I got this, is with the Huffington Post. It's called The Blog, and it's the 6 early warning signs of an abusive relationship.
And the 6 together, for me, it seems more abusive and controlling guy. Right? Abusive and controlling behavior. But then her assessments, though, I don't necessarily agree with all of them. Like, for instance, the very first one, he will wine you and dine you and romance you. Some dudes do that, and they genuinely are like that.
Right.
And then conversely, if we're the guys that's like that, sometimes we get taken advantage of.
Right.
Right? Because then the female will be like, I'm not paying for nothing, and I know I want this, this, and this, but that's because that's genuinely who he is. So that very first one, I don't know if that's a sign of an abusive relationship if he romances you. For instance, I like to do that. But, I'm not going to be abusing.
Well, I agree with you because, like I said, I didn't agree with everything. That's why I'm asking you, because I think it's sending a mixed message out there, to the ladies that, and we're saying to the men, we want you to be sensitive. We want you to be caring. Right. But if he is sensitive and caring and he's doing a nice thing for you, he's abusing you. So we're sending mixed signals and mixed comments. And I necessarily don't agree with the fact of the flowers, but I agree with the fact where he starts out so sweet romancing you.
Right.
To where it's only been a few weeks, and then all of a sudden now y'all are so tied up in each other.
Right.
He's really committed to you, and he's popping questions and getting rings and wanting you to move in.
Yeah.
Now
That's
where it goes.
and that goes to that second point about he's committing too quickly.
Quickly, right.
And so that could be a warning sign.
Right.
But it also, so I'm always going to do a point counterpoint, and I'm only going to go use off my own personal example.
Right.
So on my second marriage, I met her in January. We started dating in March. We ended up getting married in July. That only lasted a year. I know. You told me back then too. Did you come to the reception?
I did not.
To the reception. Well, I'm glad you didn't, because I'd have got those gifts and it'd have been, anyway.
Right.
But I learned a lesson though, right? And one of the reasons why I did it that quickly it wasn't an abusive relationship, but I wanted to please a parent, and they were on there, they were dying, and so I wanted to let him see that I was in a happy state of mind, but it was all wrong because it was too quick. You don't marry somebody after 6 months.
I want to say this to you because you said you opened up the can of worms. You wanted to please your parent that was passing away.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now, that's a mistake.
You
don't please nobody but yourself. You knew, we had conversations, and I was like, man, you sure?
I know.
Yeah.
And you were saying it nicely.
I was nice about it. I was like, are you really sure? Because I don't know,
Right.
and you were like, no, I got this. But you're right. And then Shoni says, I agree with John. It takes time to know if he's representative or it's genuine. Okay, I get it. Who he is. All right, I get what you're saying. She want to know. You have to be sure that that's who he is. If he's just doing something, and if he's genuine about it. And then Ted Bear says, great topic you guys are addressing today. Something my mom taught me and my brother and sister a long time ago. If you have to make a person be with you, that's a toxic relationship. I always try to be on my P's and Q's. And another thing she taught me since we got a sister, never put your hand on a woman before you hit her, leave her. And just that simple. If you can't see eye to eye, 50-50, and then don't even get in the relationship, treat them like a king. I am, and I'm definitely going to treat you like the queen you are. Definitely. Amen to my brothers and my sisters. And Ted, you're right.
And my homeboy Derek just made a great point. Derek, hey, I'm glad you're on Facebook. He said relationships should progress in stages. That's how you both grow together.
Exactly. And I have to tell you, because we all do it. My ex-husband, we met in December and was married in March. We stayed married 5 years and 1 day. And I have to put this out there because I'm laughing because my mom told me not to marry him. And I did it because I was just a defiant kid.
Right.
And I married him. And she said, you're not going to be married for 5 years. And 5 years, I was married 5 years in a day, so I felt like I had to. Yeah, I showed her. I showed myself that I was doing some nonsense. I was on that nonsense.
Exactly.
So, again, as we were talking about, you have to take your time into some stuff.
Right.
Jumping right into it, you may feel good about it right away. Now, people say, is there a time frame or a time span? No. The time span is when you both feel comfortable.
Right.
And then, like Shoni says here, you cannot put a time limit on genuine intentions.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
If you're marrying for any reason other than you are in love and fully committed to that person, it won't matter if you are together for 3 months or it won't last because you didn't marry for the right reason. And you're right.
And she makes a great point, because there are some successful marriages after 6 months they knew it, and it works.
And I agree. I agree with that. That's why I said there is no time limit. And you said, Shoni says, I know a couple who's married after 2 months and they are still in love 52 years later. And it's possible, guys. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live. We're talking about relationships. You guys don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we're going to have some stuff for some women, because we're talking to our men right now, but everything applies to both men and women. It's no different.
You use Tearless Baby Shampoo because it's gentle on your baby's eyes. You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You always test the bathwater to make sure it's not too hot. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You make sure she wears a helmet when she rides her bicycle. You put on his sunscreen, even when he's embarrassed his friends will see. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Is your child facing the right way in the car seat? Is the seat too big or too small? How do you know when it's time to move your child into the next type of seat? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the right seat. That's safercar.gov/the right seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
Finding best potatoes for French fries.
No!
Russet. Fingerling. Yukon Gold.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Leaders aren't born. They're made, and not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Sensation Station Network.
Radio to Atlanta.
Up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane. Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G, and my guest co-host today, John Reed. We're talking about relationships, healthy and unhealthy relationships. If you are listening to us on Facebook, go ahead and type your comments in the comment section, and we'll be able to read them on air and get back to you and address them. If you're listening to us on TuneIn, go ahead and text and call or call your comments into 678-613-5857. We were talking to our men about some controlling behaviors that they have, and this one here, it said for women, but it can go for both men and women, where they constantly send you text messages, insist you do everything all the time together, that you do it together all the time. You can't have friends or family around.
I can't golf? I can't go golfing with the boys?
No. You're just going to have to give golfing up. I don't know why you think you could go golfing. And it is easily offended by innocent mistakes. Disapproves of clothing. Now, this is more for the men. They disapprove sometime of the women clothing. And you got, no, I take that back. You got some women that are a little bit extra, too. They want to dress their men like they 2 years old, that they tell them what to do. Those are some things that they said women do. But also, we're going to address those, okay? Right. But also, this is something that I found really interesting. It says 13 unmistakable signs of insecurity in a woman.
Interesting.
And this was, I can't even tell you what the name of it is because I don't know if I'm allowed to say it on air, but I'll type it in on the page where y'all can go find it. But it was a man who wrote this. Okay. He said she is defensive. She is authoritarian and controlling. She gets jealous. She belittles you and others.
That ain't gonna happen.
She makes you feel guilty or insecure. And let's see, what's the other one? She holds a grudge. And you can't have an honest discussion about the relationship. She encourages failure. So that's kind of...
and that's all based on the fact that that woman is insecure about herself or the relationship.
Right. Those are some deep allegations.
Well, I mean...
but he's true, though. It's true. He's on point.
Yeah, and that could, like you said before, it can go both ways, but specifically for the woman.
Women, yeah.
These are some of the signs that a guy needs to look for.
Right.
And women, too, because we talk about if you are isolated from your friends and
family, and that's a definite
right?
sign. When they start, you spend too much time with your family or you doing too much with them, you
Hey, you know what I believe in?
Put on some shoes and run.
Exactly. I believe in he time and she time.
Right.
It's healthy. You go out with the
Right.
girls, you do a girls trip. The same thing with me, because sometimes you have to miss a person, right? And like we said, relationships are in stages. So it's always
Right.
good to miss a person. But like you said, though, this is some insecurity issues that this person is having, and now she's projecting that into the relationship.
Yeah, let's talk about the checking the constantly sends you text messages all day long. I mean, okay, people work.
Right.
And they'll say, "I love you," or "How are you doing? I miss you." La la
That's
la.
good.
I can see once or twice a day. But if you know they're at work and they're not answering you,
Right.
why are you upset?
Right. Wait till after 11 p.m. then text me all you want.
You know what? 11 p.m., honey. At this age, it's 6 p.m. Because by 11, I'm trying to be asleep.
That's right. I forgot. That's right. You and me are older, right? Exactly.
But let's talk about this, ladies. I guess I would like some of my women that are listening, if you guys can help me with this. The constant text messaging. Why do a lot of women feel a need that the guy has to keep validating how much they care for you and love you?
You know what, though? Let me say this. Sometimes they text message you on purpose, right? Meaning they say it's in the evening. They want to see if you with somebody else if they have these insecurity problems.
Okay.
They're texting to see if you're going to respond back, And then, they want validation. And if the guy does not validate them sometimes or responds quick enough, then they become really insecure. So it's based on that person, that female's motives.
Yeah, and again, that goes back, ladies. If you're in a relationship where you got to play those type of games, you got to do all that. Step away from being in a relationship and start working on yourself. If we talk about just sit back and think about what we've been talking about for the show.
Right.
It all goes back to learning yourself, understanding where the root cause of all this disruptive behavior is coming from.
And Derek Harrison made another point. He said men and women should be working to understand themselves individually first. And then once you understand who you are, what you're about, your likes and dislikes, then you can come together and then grow as a couple.
And Derek, that you're right. And that's what my point is I'm trying to make to the ladies and the women out there. A lot of us, I realized early a little bit later after, a couple of failed attempts, that there was something wrong with me. I was flawed in my way of thinking. So I had to go back and start thinking of what can I do to make myself better? Why do I keep attracting this certain type of man? Why do I keep involving myself in these type of situations? And usually sometimes if something keeps popping up, ladies, the common denominator is you.
And men too. Right?
Yeah.
If we've had a couple of failed relationships, it's not always that other person.
Right.
What is it that I'm doing
right.
To attract these sorts of people or women? And then what do I need to change about myself individually such that the next one is not like that?
So you really have to do a self-reflection. You really do. And like a lot of the guests have been commenting, you have to know you.
Yeah.
Because honestly, how can I ask you to love me if I don't know how to love myself or I don't love myself?
And I always tell people to do an inventory after a failed relationship, and I use 3 columns that I write for myself, right? What are my likes in a relationship? What are my dislikes in a relationship? And then what am I personally working on to not get into the same situation before? And it's just a quick inventory. Actually write it down instead of just having it in
your
my head.
mind, yeah.
And I suggest that people do that. And they can do a personal inventory in a relationship.
Right, I was going to say that even if you're in a relationship or if you just want to do a personal inventory, period, of your life, because you need to know what are your strong points, what are your weak points, what do you like about yourself, and what do you dislike about yourself, and then work on how can I change this. Getting counseling is nothing wrong with that. Getting help is nothing wrong with that. Admitting that there's something wrong, it's nothing wrong with that. Because the first way to heal or correct a bad behavior or situation is to admitting that you have one.
But caution yourself though, because you're not gonna always get it 100% right.
Right. No, and it's not going to happen overnight.
You come in with flaws, you still gonna have
You're gonna have flaws.
You're just an imperfect human, right?
Right. Everybody's imperfect,
Exactly.
and like Shoni says here, not all things are black and white. Sometimes you're just not compatible in the way you choose to communicate, or how often you like to be together, or how much you like to talk, or to the other person. Those are things that should be worked out prior to committing. And you're right, because like I said, the gentleman that I dated before years ago, this was in my 20s, he was a total dream. Great catch for whatever woman that was going to end up being in his world. I mean, he was very he communicated. He was the one that gives the flowers. I mean, I don't care, whatever I needed, I called, bam, he was there.
Right.
But I was so jacked up in my personal psyche, I couldn't accept that nice things that were happening. It just had to be something wrong, and it's not always wrong. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I am your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Major key alert. Life is like school. You will be tested, so pass it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com. Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
Meet former Dallas Cowboy Sherman Williams as he makes his way through Atlanta to Arlington, Texas for the release of Crimson Cowboy, Peace Between the Lines. Don't miss your time to gain valuable insight on how to avoid the pitfalls of success. For appearance information, please go to info@palmerwilliamsgroup.org.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. We're talking about relationships, healthy and unhealthy relationships. And just before the break, we were talking to our women. If you're listening to us, go ahead on Facebook, go ahead and put your comments in the comment section, and we'll read them out. If you're listening to us on TuneIn, go ahead and call in or text your comments at 678-613-5857. Before we go into wrapping up what we're talking to our women, John has some listeners that chimed in, and I'd like you to read what their thoughts were on air.
And we're glad you guys are listening in and making comments. So Derek has another great comment. He says, changing ourselves is an act of our will. You have to, what do you say? You have to embrace the changing.
Right.
So, and that's a good point. And then Margie makes a point. She says, I like what Cherry just said. We have to recognize the good things.
You do. And you got, and I want to go back to something that Derek said. You know, the big thing is when you said you have to, accept the change that's coming on in life. Yeah. You have to know that we're not always 100%, but you got to know that, hey, I got to fix whatever is going on with me, and I promise you, when you learn who you are and you get in tune with yourself, you'll be a better person, a happier person.
Hey, Margie just asked you a question. She says, what do you think about trying to get back with someone that once went wrong?
It all depends, Margie, and my opinion on that, it really depends on what went wrong in the first place. Has the other person did an inventory of their life as well? Have they changed, or have you seen something that has made you want to say, hey, I can try this again? I did that before. I thought that this one person, we got back together, and I'm going to tell you, Marjorie, it was the worst thing that I could ever do, because what it did was sent me back 10 years. You understand what I'm saying? I worked and did all this great work of getting myself together, and I got back in, and this man was manipulating. He was controlling. He always had something to say about what. I'll give you a prime example. We were on a cruise at one of our friends' wedding, and I'm sitting at the table with doctors and all these people and lawyers, and they were highly educated at that time. All I had was a high school education and some college. I didn't have a degree, but that didn't make me unintelligent. And we were talking, and I can't even remember the little joke I said, but it was funny. Everyone laughed, and he kicks me under the table and says, "You're embarrassing me. Just close your mouth because you're speaking ignorant."
Interesting.
I'm gonna tell you, I ain't been on a cruise ship since because I really thought I was gonna go to jail. But it was the worst time. But what I realized was I was in love with the idea of being in love with somebody.
Yeah.
I didn't really take the time to check him back out to make sure he fixed some things that went wrong in our relationship. It was all me, and it was nothing. He had nothing to do with it. So what do you think about that, John, her question?
I think sometimes people are, like you say, they love the idea of being in love, and even if they've made changes, the other person may not have made those same changes like you are. They may not have done that personal inventory. And I'm speaking from my heart right now. Like, if I'm like, okay, well, now I can work on this, I'll work on this, and I think we can get back together. But if that person still has the same general beliefs that they had, or that lack of respect, it's not going to work.
But what the crazy part is that I don't know if I was just insecure at the fact that I had these kids and we had known each other. Now, I met him at 16, and he was in college when I met him. And we had our separate ways. I got married, whatever, broke up. And then when we got back together after the marriage, and it was just some things. He was mad at me because I had got married and had a kid and everything. When we were dating in college. Well, he was in college and we were dating or whatever, but he didn't want to call it dating because I was 16.
Right.
So because I felt like he moved on and whatever, and we lost contact or whatever. He, after we broke up that last time, he says the only reason why I even really dated you and whatever with the kids because I was upset that you had kids and they weren't mine, that you went on with your life and you didn't wait for me. First of all, fool.
Ding, 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 ding. That's a sign right there. That's
but that was after the fact that I found that out. But that relationship was so toxic, boy. We were like a replica of what I grew up with because I wasn't one of the women that would cower in the corner, and I was so disruptive in my behavior that I came out swinging. And a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, you too little." No, honey, I had a bad attitude. I really did, and that's when I realized, hey, this dude and set me back some years. I didn't work so hard to get away from that, and I just fell within a few weeks back in it. So I'm not saying it's not possible. It's just make sure you vet it out before you do it again.
Right, because you can still love that person.
Right.
Or
and from a distance.
Love from afar. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Don't get yourself caught up in nonsense. And then they said, I looked at a therapist that talked about the 3 most common causes of insecurity. And I don't have the author. They didn't put the author's name down there, but they said 1, insecurity based on recent failure or rejection. That's number 1. Lack of confidence because of social anxiety. That's number 2.
Okay.
And then they said number 3 was insecurity driven by perfectionism.
Okay.
So let's talk about the insecurity based on failure or past rejection, because that's what we were talking about. It says she suggested to give yourself time to heal and adapt to the new normal. That means being alone, not being in a relationship. Getting away if it was toxic, getting away from that toxic behavior. Get out and engage with life, following your interest and curiosity. That didn't say get out and go get in a relationship. Get back out and get in tune with yourself at what you like that you stopped doing because this person didn't like. Get back in tune with yourself. Reach out to friends and family for distraction and comfort. That doesn't mean get with girlfriends or boyfriends that got all kind of chatter that want to talk about people and be negative. You don't need negativity in your life.
Right.
If you got somebody that's constantly, girl, he wasn't nothing, you shouldn't have met that. Okay, misery loves company.
Right.
Run from that. You don't need that. Preserve and keep moving forward with your goals.
So that means you have to set goals.
You have to set goals. If you didn't have goals, you set them when you were before you got in a relationship and they went left because the relationship wasn't letting you work on them. When a relationship never should keep you from keep reaching your goals.
Correct.
Then you need to get back to what you started from and be willing to try a different strategy if necessary.
What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing
over and over again. If you haven't learned from previous mistakes, something wrong.
Right.
You need to work on that.
Yeah, exactly.
So these are some things that you really need to think about in the relationships. You are listening to Destiny Talk Live, and we're talking about relationships, healthy and unhealthy, and we're going to try to give you tips and tricks to keep you going forward and moving forward and healing from rejection or failure.
don't know the power of the Sensation Station Network. The power.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've accidentally cut your daughter's bangs unevenly. Do you A, line things up a centimeter from her hairline?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
No. Sweatbands are so hot right now. Everyone's wearing them. Like that basketball player and that other basketball player.
B, get spiritual.
Mom, where did all the mirrors go?
A reflection could never capture our true selves.
Huh?
Beauty is within.
C, look on the bright side.
Less time blow drying, more time texting.
Or D, show empathy.
Mom, you really don't have
Ta-da! Twinsies!
I kinda love it. As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Deliberate dumbing down.
Dumb down society.
Deliberate dumbing down of America.
Dumb down public. Why would they do this?
Sensation Station Network. Radio, not dumbed down.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. This is the part of the show where I go out and wish happy birthdays to all of our listeners and our friends out there. So I've got Vanessa Gonzalez, happy birthday. Leonard King of Atlanta here, happy birthday to you. Harriet Williams, that's my homegirl from Orlando, Florida, happy birthday. My cousin Melissa Lynch, happy birthday to you. She's in Tallahassee. Vera Buchanan from Elyria, Ohio. Estella Alvarez of Peachtree Corners, Georgia. And Aaron Davis, happy birthday to all of you. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day and enjoy yourselves out there. And I also want to give a special shout out to some great people who stepped in when I needed them for this show. They just pulled in and pulled together, and I want to give a big special thanks to Edward Encinas. He was on our show. Thank you so much. Leonard King, Todd Robinson, Yelenis Paez, Julio Heredia, my son, John Reed here, Argentry Reese, Scott Spalding, Pastor Andre Tate, and Corby Starr. I also want to give a shout out to Premier International Services out in Miami, Florida. If you're looking for legal admin service, immigrations, translations, interpretations, notary, accounting, or anything like that, please reach out to Premier International Services, and they do speak Spanish. That's 321-209-4405. And if you're looking for a great photographer to take family photos, professional photos, or event photos, you want to go to ISO Keen Photography on Facebook. That's ISO Keen at gmail.com, and that's EYESOKEEN. Thank you guys so much for all of your continued support.
I am an American soldier. I'm a warrior and a member of a team.
I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values.
I will always place mission first.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never quit. I will never leave a fallen comrade.
I am disciplined.
I am disciplined.
Physically and mentally tough.
Trained and proficient in my warrior tasks and drills.
I always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself.
I am an expert and I am a professional.
I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the
enemies of the United States of America in close combat.
I am a guardian of freedom and the American way of life.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
There's strong, and there's Army strong. See what it takes at GoArmy.com.
Listen, as a hiring manager, I've got to tell you, the best job candidate isn't always the typical candidate. Sometimes they're a grad of life.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Sometimes the best candidates aren't the ones you're used to.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
JBT 700 Miami Circle 30324. It's not a chain, it's a chain reaction.
Invest $49 a month at a real gym.
For more info, go to facebook.com/Jeans Body Tech.
Major key alert. Life is like school. You will be tested, so pass it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com. Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I am your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
This is big business. This is the American way.
Station Network.
See ya.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. You're listening to Cherry G. I'm your host. We're talking about healthy and unhealthy relationships. Just before the break, we were talking about should you, a listener wanted to know, should you try to get back with someone for a second go around? And for me, it wasn't a great experience. But, you know, I'm saying that if a person has changed as well as you change and you guys try to work it back out, then absolutely.
Right.
But if it's an unhealthy relationship, I don't think it's something that you need to go back to. And Sharon Gilbert said, when it's over, especially if the relationship was abusive. I agree, Sharon. She said there are a couple of relationships that I would have considered getting back into, but after 35 years, they are both married, the others, and I wouldn't look back at all. I agree. Now, Ted Bear said, I agree. That's why each and every day I'll try to be better than I was yesterday. I try to accomplish the things I need to accomplish for each and every minute. I try to take time and my life to the fullest shame definition, live with no regrets, and be the best father I can be, and the best son I can be, the best brother, and the best friend. And that's true. You really have to look at it because, guys, like we were saying before, to our men and our women, when you have unhealthy stuff go on, you're feeding that nonsense into your children when they're there, and that creates what? Lack of confidence in them, insecurity in your children, jealousy, low self-esteem. It creates all that kind of nonsense in them, and then you're not giving them the opportunity to be productive as adults or even in relationships. Let's talk about these kids that are in high school that are killing.
That's crazy.
Over relationships.
That's crazy.
You know,
but you know what though? That's because they see it often. They see it in social media.
Right.
They don't have the person or maybe the family member that can tell them what real love is, or how to act in a relationship, how to grow a relationship. So they don't have any positive influence.
Right. Because I saw my sister and I were talking, and she was telling me about a young man. She was watching the first 48 in Texas, who has just ruined his whole entire life for killing another young man over a girl they were fighting over. Listen.
It's crazy.
Parents, we need to do better. We need to do better. When you showing these kids, like I read also where a woman, I can't mention her name or whatever, that she posted on Facebook pictures of her 6-year-old daughter that was being bullied or beat up by a little boy, you know, punched in the eye, and the parents she couldn't get any response from the kids' parents and from the school. Listen, guys, we have to stop this disruptive stuff that we got going on.
You know what? High school basketball coach told me one time. He said, "Jonathan, if you come back here 10 years from now and you haven't changed, that means you haven't grown at all. And you know, I don't want to see you." Right? So what he was trying to impart upon me is that you learn, you grow. I mean, you change.
Right.
Your behaviors are not always going to be the right behaviors, and you have to be cognizant enough to say, "Hey, listen, I got to make some changes in myself." You know what I mean? And I believe it. I believe you got to grow and you got to change.
Well, I want to encourage our parents out there that are listening that have kids, and you guys have been in disruptive behaviors or you're in disruptive behaviors. You guys got to step back and take an inventory. Okay? Sit down and talk with your children. Talk to yourself.
Right.
If you're in an abusive relationship and you know that they're abusing your children or they're doing things or the relationship is unhealthy, you may not be hitting one another, but you may be spewing out negative things or comments to one another. That's abuse. I want you to know that. So I want you guys to step back and think about what you're doing to your family. Not even just that, what you're doing to yourself.
And you know what? And it's easy for you and I to say this and give this sort of advice, but then it also has to be internal to that individual, right?
Right.
Can I make the change? You know, and if you have to pray, if you're a praying person, then pray for strength to be able to cope and say, hey, listen, I know these are the changes that I have to make within me first, and then I can change everything around.
Well, you have to have courage. Yeah. You have to have courage. And the only reason why I'm telling you guys this stuff is because I've been there. I'm not talking to you about something I don't know, I haven't experienced, or I wasn't a part of. I'm telling you I've been there. You know, and me and my kids, we did the round table. We had to talk about those ugly things. They had to hear the uncomfortable truth. And we got to be transparent as parents, because we're setting our kids up for failure when we're not out there doing the things we need to do to make them productive in society. And then we want to look at people cross-eyed when they end up in jail or something happened to them. But did we really give them the tools to be successful in life?
Right. And not just when something bad happens, but consistently.
Consistent. You got to be consistent. And we got to talk to them about relationship. There's nobody worth you dying over to be with. No man, no woman, none, no.
Nope. Or being put in wrong situations.
And the thing that gets me too is you got these women, you know, and you got men too, but I want to talk to the ladies because I'm a lady. You know, they out there staying with these dudes, and they know they're in illegal activity, but they're staying.
Yeah.
And then want to get mad when they get arrested because that money is gone, but you haven't done anything to change your life. But your kids see this.
You enabled it. Listen, I mean, my son, who's 25 now, I used to tell him, and he was going off doing some things that he shouldn't have been doing, but the girl that he was with was okay with it. And I had a talk with her. I'm like, if you don't like it, you need to say that to him. And if he really loves you, then he'll make the changes for you. If you enable it and just go along with the program, he's not going to change.
You're sending mixed emotions, and you guys need to understand that this is serious out here. This relationship isn't a game. You guys make sure that you really talk about it and take an inventory of your life and look at yourself. Make sure you understand everything about you and know everything about you before you can move on and invite somebody in your world.
Good answer.
Sensation Station Network.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, and father of 5. I'm also an expert on drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids, and there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
JBT 700 Miami Circle 30324. It's not a chain, it's a chain reaction.
Invest $49 a month at a real gym.
For more info, go to facebook.com/Jeans Body Tech.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G, and my guest co-host, John Reed. Today we have been talking to you about relationships and unhealthy relationships. We've been talking to our men, women, and how it relates to one another as well as to our families. Now I want to talk to you guys talk about insecurities and what you may have to say about growing up. And do you think insecurity is the main reason relationships fail? Before we get into that, though, John had a comment on something. I want him to read that on air.
Yeah, Derek, once again, has a great point, and he said that much of how we act toward each other is based on how we view the other person. Respecting the other person and be a help to them the same way that you would a sister or brother goes a long way in developing a healthy relationship.
And that's true. What I got out of that is communication. Communication, respect, and knowing you. You got to know who you are. You know, I looked up some tips on how to overcome some insecurities, okay? And this was written by goodtherapy.org by Zon Villainous. And she said, determine the cause. why do you have insecurities in the first place? You gotta, again, what we said, do what? Go back to the root cause. Go back to you. Don't go to your mate and look what their problems are.
Right.
You gotta do an inventory of yourself. So you want to determine the cause. You want to negotiate relationship rules. Now, I was lost on that.
Yeah, me too. I'm like,
what are we negotiating?
exactly. Right.
I mean, unless she meant,
Compromise?
well, yeah, or talk about what your do's and don'ts, what your likes
Okay.
and dislikes are.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what she meant on that. Avoid mind reading. You got to stop trying to guess and think what the other person is saying. Communication, you got to talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm not a mind reader. I'm not going to try to guess what's wrong with you. You got to tell me. Quit the comparison game.
Yep.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yep.
Hit the nail on the button. You can't compare me to Sue because I'm not Sue.
Right.
Sue and I are from two different eras, two different backgrounds. We don't, we may not even be from the same town. It doesn't matter. Everybody's different. You can't compare one person to the other. And look for the positive. Too many times we do what?
Automatically look for the negative.
We sure
Something's
do.
wrong with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I done told you about yourself already.
Yeah. Something's wrong with you because you, and then if you get where you're not accepting someone advances, there's something wrong with you. I had someone tell me, girl, you better get up on this because everybody else is trying to get it. And I'm like, well, let them get it. Because
you didn't know I was a prize?
What?
You didn't know it?
I ain't know.
Oh,
So I'm sorry.
Well, I can't be with you then.
And then they look at you like, well, you missing out. Okay, well, I feel like I'm missing out too. I'm missing out on some nonsense.
Say thank you. You just did me a favor.
Right. I learned a long time ago to say, hey, let me miss you.
Exactly.
If that's the case, please let me miss you because I will. I promise you I will. But again, we have to be real careful at all the stuff that we do. And we have low self-esteem. What can we do to build our self-esteem back up? What can we do?
Be around positive people. Right? Really. I mean, sometimes you need that friend who can not only tell you what you need to do, but let's build you up. Man, you got this. I got you. Listen.
Okay, but you my friend, and you in a bad relationship, girl. I told you he wasn't about nothing. You should have been gone a long time ago. Is that positive reinforcement?
No, that's not positive reinforcement.
Okay, but when you were with him, and y'all were going out, and he was taking, girl, he the bomb. Girl, why you ain't doing?
Right. See, and that's one of my pet peeves too. Those people who build you up and then also build you down, but they may be going through some negative things themselves, and they're not going to be positive around you, right?
Right.
Because they can't get a man.
And
now you don't have one?
Right.
Oh
yeah, well, this is why, and the guys that say to you, and fellas, I really want y'all to stop telling women, girl, I was trying to make you feel good. I was validating you.
Nah, that's crazy.
Negative
That's because he
ghostwriter.
doesn't want to hear rejection. He's internalizing it and feeling bad. So he's
But women are accepting that, especially a lot of these women that I see out here with these thirsty comments on dudes' pictures. Stop it. It's not cute.
Or if they do it, we know.
And if he does reach out to you and you expect respect, don't be surprised if you don't get it.
You told me what you was doing.
You already told me. I mean, you don't know me. You saw my picture and you about to give me your drawers.
Well, guess what? I told you you're already in one category if you do that. So just recognize that.
I'm just saying we need to be able to make sure that we understand that. And then some women, we post stuff out, when we're in relationships, you got a jealous boyfriend or husband or whatever. Why are you posting pictures that's going to cause attention? I mean, that's where I believe this young lady was talking about where you have to do the compromising. You have to get in and sit down and talk about it. And then we talked about 7 strategies of dealing with insecurity. Right. And this was by Shira Hodges. She said, understanding what you were feeling, take baby steps to grow. I agree with that.
Like Derek said, relationships is in stages.
Right. You have to take steps. You got to make sure that you're solid in what you're feeling and that you know you. Right. And another thing, she said, live without your security blanket. And what I took that as meaning as sometimes you may have to step out of your comfort zone. I'm not saying do things that are detrimental to your health or something that goes against your moral ethics or moral compass.
Right.
I'm talking about if you're not used to skydiving, and that's something your mate is into, and he said, hey, just try it with me one time.
You know what? And
attempt it.
That's a great point, because I like golf, right? So I always in my relationship try to introduce the person to the world of golf. Now, if they don't like it, cool, but at least experience. Just don't say, no, I don't like it, I ain't doing it.
Right.
Experience, because then you may like it, and now you guys got something together that you can do.
Right, and it shows, too, in my opinion, that they have some common interest in what you're doing. They don't just care about what's happening with them. They want to know what makes you tick.
Right.
Okay, and what about changing your perspective on things? Sometimes what we were taught or what we were exposed to in life is not what we need to continue to hold on to. Some of those train wrecks we need to let go.
Right. Exactly.
You know, especially if it's disruptive or unpositive, we need to let it go. Doing what you know best. Okay, if you're good at something, you know you're good at it. Yes, doing that. But I kind of looked at this as that you also want to work on what you don't do good.
Right. Well, that goes back to our inventory. Like I said, the columns. Here's what I like because I'm good at this. Here's what I dislike, and then here's the things that I'm going to work on. And so I think that's, for me, that's where I got from.
Okay, and then purge. You want to purge out negative things or things that aren't productive in your life. You want to purge that. You want to reward yourself when you do a job well done.
In the relationship.
In the relationship. Even outside the relationship, you got to reward yourself. And, I know some people say, oh, that means I go buy this car, go get that. If that's what you do for rewarding yourself, great. But if it's in a relationship-wise, if you reward yourselves I looked at that as we're going to dinner occasionally. Listen, whatever you did to do to get that person, if y'all dated all the time, still date.
Right.
Even though you're in a relationship, you still date.
Yep.
Still take them on those dates. If you used to just because buy them cards or flowers or whatever, you need to continue that process.
Yeah.
Ladies, if you still put on the sexy lingerie or whatever, y'all living together or whatever, and you were sexy with them, you need to be sexy after y'all get together and you get married. That stuff does not change. Even if you have kids, that stuff does not change. You need to keep the romance and the stuff alive in your relationship. And I'm a big proponent of this. I think it's great, and you've mentioned it. Keep a journal.
Yeah.
Keep a progress journal.
Right.
Put down where you started, set your goal to where you want to go, and then you set a attainable, an achievable timeline at reaching it. In doing goals, they have to be attainable. They have to be something that's smart, that you can reach. It can't be so grandiose that you don't have, like, you say, I'm going to have a doctorate degree in 4 years. If you don't have a bachelor's degree, you ain't going to have a doctor's degree in 4 years. Unless you go, what they do, go those internet things where you could buy a doctorate.
Yeah.
That's not, valid. Or if you know that you have been through some challenges in your life, relationship-wise, again, like we said earlier in the show, it doesn't take time. You don't have to be with somebody 3 or 4 years or 10 years before if you in there with somebody for 10 years hanging in there like that and y'all ain't made moves to make it permanent, I think,
And that's what I tell people, to actually write them down.
Right.
Because it means more than just me saying it in my head, right?
Right.
Make sure that they're clear, concise, and attainable. I tell people in business that all the time. Clear, concise, attainable. We should have relationship goals like that. Clear, concise, attainable. Now, if we want to do one night a week, date night, do date night.
And you don't have to go spend a whole lot of money. Date night could be a red box movie. Date night could be getting pizza, but you guys have to do that. You have to stick together.
Yeah.
You really do.
Yeah.
So you guys are listening to Destiny Talk Live. We're talking about relationships.
Deliberate dumbing down. Dumb down society.
Deliberate dumbing down of America.
Dumb down public. Why would they do this?
Sensation Station Network. Radio, not dumbed down.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I want to thank all of you that participated in our conversation today on relationships, healthy and unhealthy relationships. We're going to be posting some of these tips on Destiny Talk Live Facebook page, so you can go back to them and look at them and use them. And we're also going to be putting out a relationship test soon and questions on relationships. Again, want to thank all of you guys that continuously support Destiny Talk Live, that you're out there supporting us by listening to the show, passing the show, sharing it. And I want to thank John for coming on here and being my co-host today. I love when he's on the show. We have productive conversations. And guys, I want you to know that you're only as good as you let yourself be. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live. You guys have a great weekend.